Welcome back everybody to Team Lid. Today I'm coming at you with a Sword Soul deck profile. We recently had a locals and I took a 60-man locals and I took second place, so I thought I'd like to share the deck profile with you. So we have 2 Infinite Impermanents, 2 Droplet, 2 DD Crow, 2 Veiler, and 3 Ash Blossoms. These are my hand traps. I enjoy these ratios. They came up quite a lot. To be honest, the effect Veiler was a bit of a bust of a card. I got dimension shifted and there were other cards that I couldn't really interact with. So honestly, if I could mess around with these ratios, I'd probably like put an extra Infinite Impermanence in and maybe a DD Crow or Skullmeister instead of the second effect, the 2 effect Veilers. But honestly, it's up to you. Our locals is very diverse, so you're not just playing Birds, Ishizu, Tears, and Splight. You have a wide variation of other decks that pop up every now and again, and you need a toolbox to kind of deal with them. Some decks, for example, I went up against no tier players today because they were taken out by various different kind of rogue decks, which hopefully we can do a deck profile and show you guys soon. It's quite exciting. So I actually went up against 2 Dynamorphia, an ABC player, and finally a Scareclaw player who I lost to in the finals. So very, very spicy. But yeah, these are my hand traps. I actually like them. They were really, really good, except for obviously the Effect Veiler. The Effect Veiler was very low impact compared to the others. 2 Desires for consistency. Mainly the reason why I'm going for Desires instead of Prosperity is my extra deck is missing a few key toolkit cards that I wish I had instead of what I am currently running. So rather than digging for names or things that could help out, I'd rather went for the blind draw. Prosperities is overall I think a better card because in my finals match I did lose because I couldn't just dig for a Sword Soul name. So keep in mind it's completely up to you. If you don't have Prosperities available, do play the Desires. It still functions fairly well. Okay, so for the 10-year lineup, it's pretty standard. Okay, we have 3 Ashanas. I'm playing 2 Vessel. Vessel over Heavenly because I actually don't have it. And the Vessel actually did come up a lot, sending Vishuddha mainly to the graveyard. 1 Shatanta, 2 Adhara. I know 3 Adhara is probably the more consistent, but I had 2 available and I just had to make it work. So 2 Adhara and obviously 3 Vishuddha. 3 Vishuddha was a clutch card. It allowed me to break so many boards and deal with so many problems, especially in the Dynamorphia grind. Dynamorphias make big monsters that are unaffected or skill drain. Not really unaffected, but they skill drain your board. So, and they have so much of synergy and tag out like effects that even if you do try and out the monsters or like destruction effects and things like that, they still can like recur things. So bouncing them back to the hand with the Vishuddha, fantastic. However, the Vishuddha did get abused by Bestials in the final matchup. So this is kind of a weak point if you know you're playing up against people who have the Bestials, but it is still key to play it as your 10-year lineup. Okay, for the Sword Soul time, 2 Tyre, 3 Longyan, 3 Moe, 2 Ecclesia, 3 Emergence, 2 Blackout, and finally 1 Summit. The Summit is a bit of an interesting choice. It came up. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the tendencies of using your one-offs a bit too often, but there was a lot of times where my board was completely cleared by random things like Raigekis, even Storms, and I had nothing to work with, and the Summit actually just saved me because this allowed me to get back into it and start comboing off. Everything else is pretty standard. 2 Ecclesia instead of 3. 3 does break me. I see it more than I would like to, so optimal ratios for my personal preference. Okay, so that's it for the main deck. Just on a side note, Blackout is an amazing card. I do suggest you guys play 2 instead of 1. This card right now is great. It's the only reason why I beat the Dynamorphia, to be honest, because it just allowed me to pop their field, whatever they were trying to set up. And if they obviously set 5, you can take a random shot of 2 cards. And I did get quite lucky and hit most of the things that would have been problematic to me. So amazing card. Okay, so for the extra deck lineup, we have 3 Monk. Okay, so pretty standard, you know, you're doing a lot of your 10E combos and Monk is the piece, so 3 Monk it is. 1 Baron, 1 Dragite, 1 Chengying, 1 Longyang, 2 Chizhao, and then 2 Baxia, 1 Yazi, 1 Shen, 1 Scarlet, and 1 Ruddy Rose Dragon. So this is my extra deck that is a bit lacking. I don't have Berserker, as you can see, and an Overlord, or the Psychic Overdrive Dragon. It's the big synchro that becomes unaffected by when your life points is lower. I kind of forgot his name, but that doesn't really matter. Ruddy Rose took his spot, and I would have loved to have that card because it would have won me a lot of games much sooner, but unfortunately it isn't there. So this is my extra deck. To be honest, your Chizhaos are your obviously go-to, but I did use Baron and Longyan a lot. The Chengying came up actually against ABC because it really does hurt the deck. They can't really go into ABC Buster Dragon because you can out it as well, and it's so all of that combo, and then they make the Buster Dragon, you can kind of get rid of it. It's really good. Shen was put in as a hopeful answer to Tia, but obviously I didn't see it against Tia, so it just took up a spot. Dragite, obviously, like I said, I played against 2 Dynamorphia players, so this card was clutch and negating because I normally had a Moyi in the graveyard as well, so, or at least the Shatana as well, so there's always like a water monster there. Baxia and Yazi, pretty standard. You can play 1 of each. It's fine. It's completely up to you. Scarlet didn't come up, but this card can potentially just completely win you games, especially when you're dealing against monsters, a lot of monsters, and you need to clear the board, and they just either playing defensively and just stonewalling you after, let's say, you go into like a dimension barrier play, and they just set up like just a bunch of special summon monsters just to stall at a turn. This guy can clear the board. Really good. And obviously the Ruddy Rose Dragon wasn't played at all, and like I just explained earlier, I would have preferred another card over this, but it is what it is, and we made it work, so yay, I suppose. Okay, that's it for the extra deck. Pretty unconventional, but it didn't betray me. Okay, so for the side deck, so we're going 3 draw, a lot of decks adding cards and doing a whole bunch of recursion where they just searching and building up hands. You know, Tears do it to a point, as well as almost all of the other decks in the format. Even Flunders, great card against most of those decks, but also against Rogue, surprisingly. Like, it works really well against Rogue because they also need to do the same thing to generate resources in order to compete with these like top decks. So the draw was great. For going second, we're playing 1 Harpies and 2 Lightning Storm. I was playing Lightning Storm at 3. I didn't like it at 3. I either saw it too often or never saw it at all. So like I said, with my weird ratios, this works for me. You need to test obviously before you go down these routes, but it's pretty standard. Lightning Storm for, you know, attack position monsters or back row removal. Feather Duster for mainly just the back row. Evenly matched for wall breaking. Dimension Barrier for all those gimmicky decks that are only abusing fusion or something of the other. I'm pretty sure we know which kind of decks those are. And then Dark Ruler no more. No, pesky monster bots. So yeah, that's it for the side. So just a general like recap. I did lose to Scareclaws. I actually got decimated by it, and main reason why was because I did brick. So in the extra deck, I would actually also, I saw too many Tennies and I didn't have Berserker as well, so I didn't really have much options to go into because I was getting stomped and stopped so much. The deck does have a lot of interaction if you're not careful. And a Shaman would have really helped win me at least game 2. So, because I got 2-0'd. That's how cool Scareclaws are right now. And like I said, we hope to give you guys the deck profile. So, yeah, no, look, all in all, I would just like to highlight that this deck isn't like the greatest thing on the planet. All of these are reprints from Mavens. You can check out www.geekhome.co.za for bulk if you want to order your own or your for seal products, sorry, if you want to get your own Maven boxes, or Mirage Gaming if you want to get singles and, you know, just pick up a core. But like I said, I just picked up this deck last week. Barely had any experience playing it, just playing against it mostly, never playing it myself. Walked into a locals for, you know, 60-man tournament, decks not even anywhere near done, and came out second. So never give up. Always pursue your goals and just keep at it, doing what you love best in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the deck profile.